Hello baby, we're back to cast another oversized King of the Hill extraordinaire, where we have inverted Raptor crater to make it Raptor Hill. That's right, 8 brave souls stand atop, looking down at a sea of 28 hungry, ferocious, economically questionable peasants, all ready to tear us limb from limb. Now let's break down our role as kings. So 10 minutes, no rush. I'm here on the south side. I've got Regeki up there, one of the best players around. Same with Duffy, knows exactly what he's doing in these King of the Hill games. And we all start, you can see the lines there, we all start with 7 mexes. So our job is to quickly greed that economy as much as possible until about the 7 or 8 minute mark. Build some towers, we each got 2 ramps to defend. And then we've got to build units and aggress. Let's see how we break this down. And I've got Prey joining me as usual.
Good day, everybody. This is going to be a pretty interesting one with a lot of high skill players in both teams. And to see some very interesting action. And as this was the last game of the night, I don't actually know how this one went because I'd already left. It's just Twig in this one. So I'm going to be casting this relatively blind.
Yeah, just to touch on the rules, that 10 minute no rush, we try and encourage everyone to stay off the ramps, which for some reason this is the last game of the night. We had so much trouble getting people to stay off the ramps for those 10 minutes. And then once 10 minute passes, you can really go anywhere and build economy anywhere. And we do ask all the players to honour the gentleman agreement of no structures that can shoot into the economy of the opposing player. So you can like Juno or missile strike the ramps, but you can't go hit those mexes on the lower or upper floors. And I do think we see a few breaches of that rule. Maybe this game, I can't remember. We play so many of these. Speaking of, if you guys ever want to partake in these every Sunday, sometimes we open these up, or not we, the Generous Flow or Nightmare jump on board and help us get everyone in one lobby, hoping not to crash it. And sometimes it's just the standard 4 versus 12 King of the Hill.
Started.
More importantly than that, if anyone wants to make a map or even modify this one so that it has a very small lava donut splitting the 2 teams up, we would be infinitely appreciative because that is one of the biggest things that I reckon would make this game even better, is if we just had the ability to have lava that disappeared at 10 minutes around the crater and stop anyone from actually getting in, to make it so that it is not a choice, it is just part of the map.
Yeah, either that or I don't know how you'd do it. You could maybe change the start box shape so we could do circles and a donut for the outside so you can physically stop it from happening. Tricky to do though.
$50 says the map would be easier to make.
Probably, I reckon you're right.
Not that we're actually gambling, YouTube. It's a joke.
I did a pretty average start in this one because I spent so long in the chat and trying to stop people from breaking the rules. You can see up here, Commander coming up. I mean, it's not doing the worst thing, building walls, but you can't see that from the opposite side. Nothing yet, no radars up. But you don't know when someone's building some lasers up there or sending units there, so that the split of 10 minute mark, they just run straight into your base. But yeah, anyway, what you want to really do is obviously get your mexes out. I send a constructor in each direction to get all the mexes. I probably shouldn't be leaving these 2 doing nothing. And then you want to build enough wind to get some conversion, I would suggest. Maybe some advanced solars if you don't want to spend as much time. Like you can see, how do I say that? Mangle Exemplar doing here, so a quicker build but maybe not as economical. But when you've got a 45% bonus like the Kings do, maybe it is plausible to do it that way rather than the way I'm doing it. And then go T2, get up 1 or 2 fusions by the 10 minute mark and make sure you got those towers and units coming out. We'll see how I go because this is definitely the slowest I was of the night in the King position. You can see here Regeki already getting up that T2 lab, plenty of eco. We've got no communism though out of the Kings. Often you'll see like players team up and one will go T2, the other one will go stay T1 and just keep that eco going.
Battle paused.
And we've got another player.
Battle started.
Doing their thing.
We do our best to try and get the rules to everyone, but not everyone speaks the language, and not everyone is particularly interested in the rules. They just see a big lobby and are like, yes, I'll do that.
Yeah, totally fine. Two of the better players in the world down here. We got Darth Revan. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that's X Factor Live, hiding behind another name. That is a lot of energy storage. What is the purpose of that?
I was wondering about that. That is a heck of a lot of energy storage. I think it's not the end of the world because you can reclaim them, but it's certainly a curious way of storing metal because they're not cheap to build energy. Actually, are they cheap to build energy wise? The 1800, compare that to the 4000 of an advanced solar. Metal wise, they're only 175 compared to the 370.
You know what he could be doing? He might have identified that we've got 28 players around the map and some of them are going to be overflowing, and he's decided I'm going to be the person they overflow to and get all the conversion for. I reckon that's what's happened.
Going with the incisors, as it looks like he is, because he's got those on repeat. Yeah. He's got 37,000 energy, which equates to 37 effectively incisors, regardless of what his energy production is. So as long as he can keep up metal wise, that's gonna be pretty effective by the 10-minute mark. I reckon he might be able to get 30 or 40 of them out.
Yeah, that's actually quite a boss move. I like it. Showing us those skills.
We might be seeing some very early aggression. I'd like to see some people support him. If Yanami, the pink player next to him, or actually on your screen, it's the blue player, accompanies and sends units along with him, this could be quite troubling for you, Twig, because I'm noticing we're 650 in, and you're yet to have your fusion, which is pretty unusual for you.
Yeah, definitely very slow for me, this one. I usually actually start in this position over here where Regeki is. I've just got a bit of feel for it. A couple closer mexes. I usually start over here and then send a constructor back. Ooh. There you go, greedy sexy man, Regeki.
Getting that APHIS down. He's getting the APHIS down off of very little economy, honestly. He's going to be relying on people sending to him.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the metal income for Regeki is 56 at the moment. Not all of those.
Actually, he's reclaiming the wind turbines. There's 23 wind turbines, 45 a pop, an extra 1,000 metal. I reckon this will actually come. And he's reclaiming the build turrets too.
Yeah, beating himself. I like it. Alright, we're at 745. Yeah, well, this is... How many did you say? 30? We've already got 30 and there's still 2 minutes.
Okay, so I said 30 to 40. We've got 2 minutes left, so
and the build time for these is...
Maybe a lot?
It's looking at a 4-second build time, 3-second build time per one. Okay,
and look at that, all the ticks in the base next to him. If there was if a couple more players in this bottom half go aggression, I reckon this could be a really short game. It doesn't actually take a lot to kill the kings at 10 minutes.
Yeah, and I think what's kind of happened is the kings will typically, what do we got over here? Exactly this. You'll get up a few twin guards or beamers, maybe some lightning turrets or flame turrets, and the odd scorpion.
And that's it. Once you get past the ramp, you get free reign.
I don't even think I'm going to get close to that. Yeah, Twig, what are you doing? First fusion's up, don't have the build power.
Battle started.
Surely I go for another one here, I can't remember. Let's check out the pot over here. No, that's human being, sorry. First fusion up, should get the second one down before 10 minutes, but I reckon I'd probably in this state go into T2 units before going into the second fusion. 1 minute left, definitely need some units.
Yeah,
has gone for the defensive position though, building the walls off and now going. We've got a couple of these pop-ups. They do work really well at the early game.
Just something to quickly look at on the left side of the screen. Someone's gone very wall heavy. No, that big purple clump. Yep. I like the comment. This gameplay does look like they're going for an aggressive agitator, which again, not necessarily in the rules, but it's going to hit a couple of LLTs. And it's probably going to be the least of the things that
Yeah.
we're worrying about at 10
Technically, it
minutes.
doesn't hit the economy, so
It's technically against the rules, but it's very hard to call those things out once the 10-minute mark passes off, and we won't really know about it until then. So let's have a quick look. We're just approaching that 10-minute mark, and 60. We have 60 incisors.
yeah, right. And I've got
And you have
measly
some
19
pawns.
grunts.
Oh, sorry, yep, some grunts.
Ticks are all happening over here. I've gone over here with a few. I don't mind that the salamanders are out. They actually do work.
Salamanders are quite good against ticks.
And I'm
Twig,
like,
are you gonna die?
oh shit. What do? I don't have an answer. Got to chase down these ticks that have also targeted me here. I'm quickly going into a T2 lab. Figured if I get out some fiends, maybe I stop this with the self-detonator of the fiend, especially if these are bunched up. But what I have done here, I have panicked, and I didn't have my commander in position. I didn't have units in position. I should have been dropping down some twin guards to take on these. Some lightning turrets, sorry, flame turrets. I didn't even end up self-D'ing the fiends. I ended up just complete APM stalling, and yeah,
Here we go. They're right in your back line. They're in your build power.
splitting his army so that he's keeping my units on the front whilst taking out everything on the back. There goes all my beautiful conversion, and now going for those 2 fusions. The good thing about these low damage units, the incisors, is they're going to leave wrecks behind because they're not going to destroy them too heavily, and you'll see.
That's your That's your T2 lap down and your fusion.
Battle
That's a pretty solid hit.
Following in with the commander as well. I like that. It's got his king helmet for the season winner. That is. Is there a medal on the front of that as well? I think there's a medal on the front. Yeah, there is a gold medal on the front of that chest. That's cool.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Does look like you've managed to survive this, but only barely. Great help with the rest of your team coming in to try and cover that lane. But thankfully, as I said, what needed to happen there was more aggression, but it looks like that was the only place of aggression at 10 minutes from the peasants.
Maybe
So even though it
final.
was wildly effective, and take note of this if you plan to play, that was wildly effective.
But if everyone did that around the map, the Kings lose every single game.
Every single time. Every single time. If you have 20 players that can get 60 incisors, that's 1,200 incisors.
Yeah, I think I've got a title for this video now. It's I got fucked up.
If only YouTube would let that be the title. However, it can probably be in the splash screen. But yeah, if the players on either side of Darth Riven had managed to push up it with them, there would have been no support from the purple player, no support from the apologies about the color descriptions. They're different on my screen to Twigs, but there would have been no support from the pot and no support from Mangle. Mangle. I'm going with Mangle. Because they would have been having to deal with everything on their own side. Unfortunately, though, with them coming down the ramp and with the big investment into all of those incisors, they're going to struggle against this Tiger and Salamander push. Tiger's very strong. One thing I want to point out, the control D'ing, this is to make sure that this is because the player knows that they're already dead, and it's to A, do a little bit of damage as the things explode, but B, it's mostly to stop the king from getting that reclaim, because if you can reclaim 10 minutes worth of a peasant's eco, that's a lot of metal. That's a lot of metal, and you get plus 45% on it, and it can shift a close game just by making sure that you deny your opponent all of that metal.
Yeah, I've slowly, I'm coming back now. I've got a bunch of res bots up. That's all I'm going for is res bots at the moment. Trying to get these back on. You can see I don't worry about even healing these. I just want to get them online again, and then move the grave robbers on so that I can go and res the next thing if I get my.
Well, and that's the thing. That's what you got to do if you get put in this position, and if other people are covering you, it's your responsibility to get back into the game as soon as you possibly can. And that doesn't necessarily mean getting back into the game to the same strength that you were before. even if you can provide spam for someone else who is okay, or if you can just hold your area, lock your area down while leaving other attack avenues for the rest of the kings, that's what you've got to get done.
Here's an attack avenue. We've got the spiders coming down for Regeki. Alright, Tab also jumping in there with some Sallies. Don't mind the Sallies. Kind of like a T1.5 unit. The closer they get to an object, the more damage they'll do on them as well.
I didn't know that. That's actually really cool. And it makes sense because it's a laser.
Rob's trying to get into position, I think, to take out these spiders. Probably got some radar there and there. It's going to become visible. B-gun, got 2.
Gets a welder, but now is going to be absolutely harassed by all of that fire, all those missiles.
No energy in the bank. You got to turn your labs off to get these happening. Yeah, getting a little bit of worth. Probably taking the middle worth of commander out in units, so nicely done there by that player, but it's not going to be enough to stop this army taking out what is happening down here. Still building economy. Yeah, it's the same player, so you want to just completely stop what you're building in terms of economy, get down these scorpions. That's going to be the best way to defend there while you've got no lab. Nicely done, Regeki, pushing through and taking out 2 players there by the looks with other kings by his side. I don't see anything stopping this here. Not enough build power in this back line here. Down here, this is what you don't want to do. It's a team game, people, and we're building defenses in a base. Build a lab and get some units up there to help your neighbours. What's
If
going
you
on
fall
elsewhere?
to the point where only the corners are alive, the game is almost certainly a loss. There's no doubt about that. Defending your own base is you know, you maybe a couple of LLTs for run by whatever, but realistically you want to be supporting these ramps. These ramps are all choke points, and if every player in the area helps to control them, then it will be very, very hard for the kings to get out. But more than that, more than controlling them, you really do want those units so that you can get in and get damage done. You saw exactly just how much damage a single peasant was able to do to Tweak at the beginning of this match. Aggression wins these games. We see it every single week and every single night, and even with the balance changes, which make the Tremor a fantastic defensive and offensive unit, it's still a lot of T1 aggression that tends to do a lot to the kings, or doing that co-op eco that lets you get those T2 units nice and early and push them in with T1 support. Something which cannot be underestimated is just how much of a difference a tick line in front of some T2 can make.
Or, in this case here, I thought I'm going to return the favour. I've got 150 grunts that I'm poorly microing now, but quickly realise that I'm doing so. And even though this is a reasonably well defended base, you'll just see what numbers do. Grunt's such a cheap unit in the game. And you can see here where we got 5,000 metal of grunts. Gonna walk straight through this army here, assisted by these salamanders as well that I've built a few of.
Something which is very crazy to me about watching that, there were 3 pop-up turrets, 3 wardens, couple of units and whatnot, compared to another game that was played tonight where we shoved 30 spiders into a base that only had to fight 4 pop-ups, and we basically lost all the spiders. Those grunts just tore through. They gutted one base, killed a comm, and they're in another base. They don't think they're going to get the economy, but just absolutely crazy level of damage right there. And that was just T1 grunts. It's just 150 T1 grunts, 5,000 metal of T1 grunts. Compare that to the 30 odd spiders that are 400 metal each, 600 metal each. Compare that to Recluse, which are 400 metal each. That means we had almost 12,000 metal of Recluse, and the pawns just did more. Very similar situation, and the grunts just did more.
Nicely done here by Mangle, just taking out a commander, but probably a little bit too much of a bunched up composition there, and most of the army falls taking out that commander. I'm loving what Duffy is doing. Yeah, it's Duffy is doing over here. Just these same 6. Oh, so it's 9 tremors. Oh, there's a few more coming down.
This is
here. Just the damage
absolutely disgusting.
has gone up to them. If you look here, we now see a damage for 450, has that been modified yet? I don't know if that is modified.
I don't
I
remember the
know
exact changes for the tremors, but
remember the
they certainly
update.
seem to be a lot more prevalent now.
The update saw them get about 100 DPS higher. I don't know if it's been put in this game yet. I know we've had the updates since playing. I don't know if...
Yeah. We did have the update in this one because we had to close off the lobby a couple of times and start it
Yeah.
up again.
I do
over
know
the
they
course of the night.
progressively introduce things though, so they like some units. That's why there were multiple starts. Oh, we've got razors. I did not see this in the game. Mini B, nicely done. They must be up the back there. Yes, they are. Going into razors.
Oof.
Him and Bang Commander only takes out one. Nicely done to avoid that.
Well done to avoid it, but the thing you got to do with those marauders is get them in to deal the critical damage. Fighting that comm, yep, you know, killing a comm sounds good, but the marauders are heavily damaged now, and they really need if they just avoided the comm and walked straight on through, they're still doing a lot of damage. Okay, they did enough damage. Never mind. Ignore me. I would have tried to
AFK
concentrate them just on the
out
damage.
Are we going to see this go down as well? We've got these scorpions down, so that should take them out. If that Apis went down, that would have been massive. We've got this eco here, that would have been a definite loss for the Kings. We've got a few more coming in there. Oh, missed one. Don't tell me.
Yeah, into the build power.
Reclaimed. Nicely done.
Couple extra of these though, and it would have made a big difference if they hadn't had to fight that comm.
And there goes.
But now surrounded by ticks. Just remember, there is almost no unit in the game that can outvalue the tick if you have enough of them.
Even after their... what's the opposite to a buff?
Nerf.
Not what it's called. A nerf. That's the one. I knew the word. I don't get enough sleep these days.
Welcome to baby life.
I've come back online fully here. I'm just going spam. Trying to use these tremors as well. Getting some damage done. I did miss what happened down here, the destruction, but it was fun. And the bottom left here is mostly wrecked. Only one player surviving there. Using my commander to get some reclaim and get these mexes so that I can at least make a decent impact on the game. I think I started climbing back up the ladder. Yes, I did. Damage dealt.
And a similar thing to what we were saying before about just sheer numbers. We get here absolutely rolling through some players, getting a couple of larger units, but then just so much spam that nothing's been able to come even close to stopping them.
I really do like the early T3 stage of the game, the tick and razorback spam before someone can quickly build multiple Junos. You just can't really stop it very easily. Even like the razorback takes out air units. Yeah, this prickly goo's in a prickly situation right now, and this guy's got 1 million problems and Rageki's certainly one. Once again, you see the experience coming out of a player here, just detonating so that we can't get the wreckage. I don't mind that at all, especially in these unranked games. So yeah, 2 Kings players have fallen so far, well, almost 2 and a bit. This corner here is still going, I can't quite break it. The backline players here finally fully coming online. If only they did that a bit earlier before this player fell, maybe that would be a difference and we could have seen some weakness happen through the Kings line down here. But no, if you eco too hard in the back line and don't help out your team, there are consequences, and those consequences are usually you lose.
You have to find a nice balance here because you do need these players in the corners to scale because everyone else is going to be fighting and keeping the Kings in check. But they also do need to acknowledge when the front line needs help. It's if you have enough build power, it's very quick to eat a lab and turn it into a fusion. It's not quite as quick to go back into a lab, but you really do need to make those choices sometimes. Get a couple of units on, get the front line surviving a bit more, get units into the King's bases. But if you're left in a situation like this where it's just a couple of corners holding out, yep, you might have done very well on your eco game, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win. We saw one the other day where one of the corner players managed to get more than 20 APHIS, but the rest of the map was dead. Can't do anything about that one. Even if you're massively the highest eco in the game.
If you do join these King of the Hills, there are 4 corners, so yes, you in the corner might react and have to build units earlier than you wanted, but that probably means if you're occupying the APM of the Kings trying to push down that hill and you're helping defend your lanes, well, another corner's probably got that bit more extra time to eco then, and because they're not being harassed, because you've been able to stop your lane falling quicker.
Just a quick note, the top left corner where that pulsar was built defensively, it's still defending, but what is it defending?
Pushing straight through here, I don't think there is any chance. Well, I know because I played for these peasants. Just too much power. Once the Kings get to that eco stage where they take over the balance of the economy, it's very hard to come back because that means they've got spam and T3 coming in. I say that,
but big marauder push.
Yeah, if only these were all at once. Oh, we are going to see this APHIS go down.
Nice. Unfortunately, it comes right at the resign vote timing, so we don't get to see just how much damage they might have done.
Yeah. If we only got to this spot here, that would have been a nice juicy chain reaction, taking everything out for 3 Kings there. I shouldn't say that, I was on the Kings team, but that was a fun one. I kind of enjoyed losing that. I was like, Twig, you know you need defenses, you know you need units, and you just see one peasant with no bonus beat a king who's quite experienced at this game type. Just putting myself down here, I lost to one player. It was probably the best player in the world, I will say, but yeah.
I don't think the idea of getting 60 incisors by 10 minutes though is crazy for anyone to do though.
You could almost just go into a lab, a few wind, and just start building units. You will by 10 minutes if you just like grunts or something. If you just go lab, a few wins, a few mexes, if that's all you start with, and you just pump them out with your commander as build power and a few constructors as build power, you're going to get out a pretty big force by 10 minutes. And I reckon if we saw a King of the Hill game where every player did that as a peasant, the Kings would fall straight away.
Something which I think is quite actually worth thinking about. All of those storages added up to 37,000 energy, right? How much energy does it take to get an APHIS?
Good question. Let's find a T2 on the screen.
Because I think that with eating those and eating everything else in the base, you may well actually be able to get yourself up to T3.
Is that 69,000?
It's 69,000 for a that's for Armada, but for core it's only 48,000.
There you go.
So I actually reckon that might have been set up to go into an APHIS transition, just as a thought, because all the metals are reclaimable, and you then you can reclaim all of your metal generation. Anyway, just worth thinking about. But yes, the heavy aggression into the middle is going to win you games. But if no one else backs you up, we'll see what happened here in the damage dealt graph, where Twig actually ended up as the 4th highest damage dealt, even after being destroyed.
Yeah.
So,
and at the same time, you can see it is important to just have that odd eco player in the background of the peasants, and you can see Mini B here has got 268,000 damage. I think that's higher than any other peasant. For some reason I can't reorder these graphs. But yeah, by getting those marauders in, doing that economic damage, did some work. Everyone playing their role.
It absolutely did. I mean, Darth Riven did almost 80,000 damage, and he was only in the game for 12 minutes.
Who's that? Dave. Oh, Darth Raven. Raven.
Yep.
I can't pronounce that.
Raven. Oh, sorry. My Star Wars is coming
X Factor.
through there.
X Factor. It's definitely X Factor.
Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Bit of a different thing happening with one of the kings getting crushed and the middle not falling. It's very hard for the middle not to fall when a king gets crushed, but well played by the kings to cover, and a little bit more aggression out of the peasants, and I think we would have seen this game swing the other way. Anyway, sounds like we might be having a big week next week with streaming this one. if you feel like joining us on the Sunday night, we'd love to have you. We're going to try and get this broadcast a little bit further and a little bit wider. Hopefully you guys will get the chance to see that.
I will say though, this video is probably going to come out at halfway in between that cast, so yes, see the future, guys. Be the future. Thanks for watching, everyone. Make sure to like and subscribe.
Gotcha.